and the Hangouts. Let me put the addresses up one more time. I'll lose the mic for a second. All right, see, there's the address for YouTube and Hangouts. And now let's go into the morning scriptures. Shabbat morning, good morning, Shabbat Shalom to all. We are going to read some morning scriptures before we get into the lesson. Today's lesson, of course, we're continuing our study in Ephesians, the epistle of Shaul to the Ephesians, Israelite converts at Ephesus. And so we were in chapter 5. We were talking about submission and respect, and we're going to continue in chapter 5 today on those same themes. I think that subject is worthy of 2 parts. It is such the subject matter of the relationship between men and women is so what's the word I'm looking for? It affects so many people. It affects so many people in such profound ways, and it affects how we deal with each other, and it affects the growth or spiritual growth or lack thereof of people. And so, and the enemy, Satan, is using all types of avenues to misrepresent and to pervert the relationship that the Most High Yah has created between the man and the woman. And so we're going to continue our study of that. But before we do, we'd like to read some scriptures in the morning, just to get us in the Word and to remind us of the Shabbat and of the Creator and of His power. And so we'll begin with Bereshith, or Genesis chapter 2. Bereshith, or Genesis chapter 2, from verses 1, 2, and 3. And the scripture says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the 7th day, Elohim ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the 7th day, and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made." Genesis chapter 2, verses 1, 2, and 3, Bereshith. Now we turn to Shema, which is Exodus chapter 19. Exodus chapter 19, from verses 3 to verse 6. "And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Yaakov, and tell the children of Yashar'ah, Ye have seen what I did to the Mizraim, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yashar'ah." That was Exodus, or Shema, chapter 19, verses 3 through 6. We stay in Shema, or Exodus, and now we go to the covenant itself, chapter 20. The 4th commandment of the covenant, which is found in Exodus chapter 20, from verses 8 through 11. And the covenant reads, "Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Shabbat day and hallowed it." That was Shema, or Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. We stay in Shema and go to Exodus chapter 31, Exodus chapter 31 from verses 12 to 18. Exodus chapter 31 from verses 12 to 18. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Yashar'al, saying, Verily my Shabbats ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh that doth sanctify you. Ye shall keep Shabbat therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Shabbat of rest, holy to Yahweh. Whosoever doth any work in the Shabbat day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Yashar'al shall keep the Shabbat, to observe Shabbat throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Yashar'al forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave unto Moshe, when he had made an end of communing with him, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of Elohim. That was Exodus chapter 31, verses 12 through 18. Now we turn to Adabarim, the book of the law. Adabarim, the book of the law, Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 10. The book of the law, Adabarim, chapter 30, verses 1 through 10. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where the Yahweh thy Elohim hath driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart, all thy soul, that then Yahweh thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and he will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Yahweh thy Elohim has scattered thee. If any of them be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, Yahweh thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence, and Yahweh thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed. Thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahweh thy Elohim will circumcise thy heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. And Yahweh thy Elohim will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers, if thou hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law. And if thou turn unto Yahweh thy Elohim, all thy heart, all thy soul. Praise the Most High Yah. That was Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 10. Now we turn to Yeshaya, otherwise known as Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 58. Isaiah chapter 58, verses 12, 13, and 14. Isaiah 58, verses 12, 13, and 14. And Yeshaya reads, And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundation of many generations. And thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. If thou turn away thy foot from the Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call Shabbat a delight, the holy of Yahweh, honor, and shall honor him, not doing thine own way, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own word, then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahweh. And I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. That was Yeshaya, otherwise known as Isaiah, chapter 58, verses 12, 13, and 14. Now we turn to the renewed covenant. Renewed covenant in the epistle called the Acts of the Apostles. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, verses 38 to 44. Renewed covenant, Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, verses 38 to 44. And the epistle reads, Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sin. And by him all that believe are justified from all things from which he could not be justified by the law of Moshe. Beware, therefore, lest that come upon you, which is spoken of in the prophets. Behold, ye despisers, and wonder and perish. For I work a work in your days, a work which ye shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you. And when the Yahudim were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Shabbat. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Yahudim and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of Yahweh. And the next Shabbat day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of Yahweh. Acts chapter 13, verses 38 to 44. Now we turn to the epistle written to the Hebrews. The epistle to the Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 8. Hebrews chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. The epistle written to the Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. And the epistle reads, But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he said, Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasha'al, and with the house of the Yahudim, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Yahweh. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasha'al after those days, saith Yahweh. I will put my law into their mouth, and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a Elohim, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. That was Hebrews chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. Now we turn to the revelation of the Mashiach Yahushua. Revelation of the Mashiach Yahushua. Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14, verses 6, 7, and 12. Revelation chapter 14, verses 6, 7, and 12. And the prophecy reads, And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. saying with a loud voice, fear Yahweh, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, the sea and the fountains of water. Verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahweh Shah. That was Revelation chapter 14, verses 6, 7, and 12. We turn to Revelation chapter 11, and we're looking at the seventh trumpet in Revelation chapter 11, from verse 15 to verse 19. Revelation chapter 11, from verse 15 to verse 19. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Elohim and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Yahweh on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped Yahweh, saying, we give thee thanks, O Yahweh al Shaddai, which art and wast and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and his reign. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And the temple of Yahweh was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. That was Revelation chapter 11, the seventh trumpet, from verses 15 to 19. Last but not least, we go back to Yeshaya, otherwise known as Isaiah. Isaiah, the last chapter, chapter 66 of Isaiah, chapter 66 of Isaiah. Isaiah 66, verses 22, 23, and 24. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched. They shall be an abhorrence unto all flesh. Let me read that last scripture again. I don't think people got that. I think we got cut off for a second. Can you hear me now? Okay. Isaiah or Yeshaya chapter 66, from verses 22 to 24. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched. They shall be an abhorrence unto all flesh. Thus ends the morning reading of the scriptures. Praise the Most High. Thank you, Sister Josie, for posting those scriptures. So we have been looking at the epistle written from the Apostle Shaul to the Israelite converts at Ephesus. And we have been looking into chapter 5 last night. And we continue talking and studying with regard to submission and respect. Let's start in Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5. Well, before we do that, let me say this. The enemy is working extremely hard to destroy the relationship between men and women. This is particularly true with regard to the nation of Israel, his chosen people. And it is even more particularly true, let me just say this, it is even more particularly true with regard to the men of the nation of Israel. Why do I say that? Because as we have read, the scripture has showed us, in fact, let's look at it again in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. 1 Corinthians 11 from verse 1 down to verse 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 from verse 1 to verse 9. The apostle writes, "Be ye followers of me, I also am of Messiah. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Messiah, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Messiah is Yahweh. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head. For that is even all one as if she were shaven. For if a woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of Yahweh. But the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her." Oh, excuse me, I went one more. Okay. So the man was created in the image of the Creator himself, and the woman was created in the image of the man. The man was not made to be a helpmeet to the woman. The woman was made to be a helpmeet to the man. So you would understand if the enemy, Satan, would want to destroy both of them. The woman because she was made a helpmeet to the man, and the man because he is in the image of the Creator himself. And we know that Satan is at war with the Most High and with Messiah. So he hates everything that has to do with them. He hates the law, he hates their word, he hates their promises, and he hates the man, especially the Israelite man. I heard it once said by Malcolm X that the most disrespected person in the United States is the black woman. I would have to disagree with him on that. I am not saying that women are not disrespected. Indeed, women have been disrespected by men and continue to be as I'm speaking to you. But the main attack on the nation of Israel is on the man. And there has been no man in the history of the United States, and over even the last 2,000 years, that has been more attacked and sought for destruction than the black man. There's been no man that has been lynched and burned and beaten and subjected to punishment as much and chains and affliction as the black man. Nobody. And what the enemy is doing is he is attempting even now, I'm going to show you something. He is using the women's rights movement and the gay rights movement to destroy the black man. You say, well, how you getting that, brother? How you getting that? Let's look at the pecking order. It's very easy. It's not complicated, brothers and sisters, although it sounds strange to some people who have never heard it before. Let me explain to you why I say that and why it's true as we're getting ready to go into Ephesians. First off, traditionally, United States of America, where I dwell, the white man, the white woman, the black man, that's the traditional pecking order. What happened is, in order to destroy and in order to cut off Israel, as the Bible says, and again, we know what the scripture says, but let's look at it anyway. Let's look at it in Psalm 82, Psalm 83, I think it is, Psalm 83. Psalm 83. Talking about the plans of the enemies of Israel, which include Asatan for the nation. Notice what it says. And I'm going to begin at verse 1, and I'm going to go down to verse, let's see, down to verse 5. Very well-known scripture among the nation of Israel. Keep not thou silence, O Yah, and be not still, O Elohim, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden one. Let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasha'al may be no more in remembrance. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. See, brothers and sisters, the 144,000 are men. Going to use men to close this work. I'm not saying women are not going to be included, but they are not counted. It is the men that are counted, okay? The Bible purposely counts the man. Why? Because the man is directly made in the image of the Most High Yah. That's why. And so that is why he is going to be attacked. And the black man, being that he is originally from the seed of Abraham, he is going to be the most attacked of all. Well, how? Let me get back to what I was saying earlier. How? Well, first they started off by, when they brought us over here in train, in them slave ships, they broke us up, men and women, and you could be parceled out however they wanted you to be parceled out. Then you had situations where, and of course, the people that came, and it was very similar, although it was much worse than what happened to Daniel in the Babylonian kingdom. Remember, when Daniel came over to the Babylonian kingdom, one of the first thing that they did, the first thing they did to Daniel, remember what the first thing, aside from castrate them, you know what they did? They changed their names. They changed their names. And they demanded that these people that they had as captives speak the Babylonian language and go by their new names. Look at it, Daniel chapter 1. Daniel chapter 1. Daniel chapter 1. And we're going to begin at verse 1, and we're going to go down to verse 7. Daniel chapter 1. Actually, let me go from verse 1 down to verse 8. Yes, from verse 1 down to verse 8. Notice what it says. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim. We're talking about men and women today, and Yah, the Most High Yah's intent of that relationship. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, the king of Jehoiada, king of Babylon, came Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And Yahweh gave Jehoiakim, the king of Yahweh, into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of Elohim, which he carried away into the land of Shinar, to the house of his Elohim. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his Elohim. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of the eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Yasha'al, of the king's seed, and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom and cunning and knowledge and understanding science. and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, whom they might teach the learning and tongue of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. Now among these were of the children of Yawadah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. These are their Hebrew names, unto whom the prince of the eunuch gave names. He gave unto Daniel the name Belteshazzar, and to Hananiah Shadrach, and to Mishael Meshach, and to Azariah Abednego. Notice verse 8. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now look, brother Daniel, they knew what their names were. They knew where they came from. They knew their nation. They came to Babylon. The Babylonians wanted them to know they were now going to be Babylonians. They were going to speak the Babylonian language. They were going to worship the Babylonian gods. They were going to have Babylonian names. First thing they did. First thing you do when you take away a people, when you take away their mind, is you take away where they're from, who they are. So when we came over here in slave ships, we went from Kunta Kinte to Toby, right? We went from names that were given in Africa and Israel to names that were given from Europe, to Smith, Jones, Bunch, Powell, all of those names, Glasgow, all these names. And we took the names of the people that owned us. We didn't take it, their names were given to us, people that owned us. So like if my name is Glasgow, if you go back to my family, of course, there's some person in the back that had a name Glasgow, some European person that our family was given that name. Same with all the names, Smith, Jones, Johnson, Jefferson, Washington, you know, presidents' names as well. Okay. So now you degrade the people, you break up the family. Okay. And then a man at that time could have a wife, but that doesn't mean that the slave master or the overseer can come and have that woman anytime he wanted. So you degrade the woman. Okay, so I could have a wife, I could be on the plantation with a wife, but if my white master or my white overseer wanted my wife, there was nothing I could do except I wanted to die. There was nothing I could do to stop them from taking my woman if they wanted to take my woman. Okay, or selling my woman, or selling my children, or selling me. Then came the Emancipation Proclamation, and then they were so-called free, right? Free. But they changed it. But many people think slavery went away in 1863. Slavery did not go away in 1863. It evolved. So now you went from straight up slavery, you went to sharecropping and chain gangs and sending people away to prison for long prison terms for minor offenses, if no offenses at all. You went from people being strung up and hung for people because somebody said he looked at me, or somebody said he abused me, or he raped me, or he beat me, and it was a black man, and you strung them up, you hang them. And many times they castrated them, they cut off their private parts when they killed them. Then you went from that, and as time evolved, you went into situations where now you have a situation where they had this women's liberation movement. White women were feeling like they were being mistreated by their men. Well, maybe they were. But what happened, they had what they called the women's suffrage movement, where they were trying to get the right to vote. They were trying to get the right to work and all of these things. And it went from the early 1900s all the way up until today, actually. And what happened now, this was not the black woman's problem. The black woman's problem was she didn't even have a man around because her man was either in jail or dead, or if he got a job, he could hardly support her because it was they degraded the education system to such a degree that they don't even know who they are. They're wearing names of slave masters. They're not educated, and they're not getting anywhere in this land. So her problem was not the white woman's problem. You understand? The black woman has always had to work. She always had to be out there supporting her family because that's the only way to survive. Usually they took maids and they took cleaning women. They did all that stuff. So now today, the movement of the women have progressed so that you have white women in powerful positions in corporate America, and in politics and in Hollywood and in industry. And what has happened now, whereas the pecking order was, check it out, the pecking order was white man, white woman, black man, black woman. Now it's white man, white woman, black woman. So the last one on the pecking order is the black man. He's the most represented in prison, in a nation that imprisons more people than the next 5 nations combined. He's the most in prison. He's the most unemployed. He's the sickest. He's the one that dies from heart disease the most. And now you have situations, they're putting on television all of these shows where you show black women that are basically saying to you, we don't need no man. We don't need no man. And forget the men, they ain't no good. So that the black man is the most hated, he's the most despised, he's the most afflicted, he's the most degraded, he's the most punished of all. Why? And it all goes back because he is made in the image of the Creator. Because he is the biggest threat to Asatan. Yes, he is. Because if he, or should I say, when he wakes up, when he wakes up and understands who he is. You see, brothers and sisters, let me explain to you this. All of this to protest against white people. I'm not. That's not the point today. We are not saying all this to say how evil white people are. That's not the point. Because, brothers and sisters, this is the way this works. There's a creator who is all-knowing and all-powerful. And if his people, in fact, let's read it. Let's read it. Second Chronicles chapter 7. Second Chronicles chapter 7. This is what the Most High says to his people. Second Chronicles chapter 7. And where am I going to start? Second Chronicles chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 12. And I'm going to read down to verse 20. Actually, from verse 12 down to verse 22. Watch carefully. We're focusing on verse 14. But watch what it says here. And Yahweh appeared to Solomon by night and said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and have chosen this place to myself for an house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now mine eyes shall be open and my ears attent unto the prayer that is made in this place. For now have I chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever. And mine eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And as for thee, if thou wilt walk before me as David thy father walked, and do according to all that I command thee, and shalt observe my statutes and my judgments, the throne of thy kingdom according as I have covenanted with David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man to be ruler in Yashar'ah. But if ye turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other Elohim and worship them, then will I pluck them up by the roots out of my land, which I have given them. In this house which I have sanctified for my name, will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among all nations. In this house which is high shall be an astonishment to everyone that passeth by, so that he shall say, what hath Yahweh done thus? Why hath Yahweh done thus unto this land and unto this house? And it shall be answered, because they forsook Yahweh, Elohim of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Mizraim, and laid hold on other Elohim and worshiped them and served them. Therefore, he hath brought all this evil upon them. No, brothers and sisters, we are not trying to condemn the white man. The white man has condemned himself because he has laid hands on the Most High's chosen people. He has flooded the Most High's chosen people with drugs and placed them in ghettos, purposely, geopolitically, placed them in situations and then flooded it with drugs, flooded it with guns, flooded with alcohol so that they would destroy each other, they would destroy themselves. Then he made privatized prisons so he can profit off of their destruction by putting them in jail and causing all the rest of the people to pay for them privatized prisons. Yes, they're going to get what they got coming. But our problem is not them. Our problem is us. And let me tell you something. If we, as his chosen people, recognize who we are, this is the most important thing, brothers and sisters. We recognize who we are, from whence we fell, and how to get back to him. That is to the Most High Yah. It doesn't matter who the people are that have us captive. Just like it didn't matter in Babylon when Nebuchadnezzar took the people captive, because when it was time for them to turn back to the Most High, he turned Babylon upside down. And we know from the book of Revelation, he's going to do it again. So it doesn't matter who's oppressing us. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what color they are. What matters, brothers and sisters, is if we recognize who we are. See, the most important message today, brothers and sisters, is for the true nation of Israel, the bloodline of Abraham. Now listen, that is the black man, that is the Spanish man, that is the man from the islands, that is all the people that came over on slave ship were dropped off everywhere, from Trinidad and Tobago and from Haiti and from Jamaica and from Cuba and from Puerto Rico and from the Central America and Brazil and the United States. All of these people. All of these people are the chosen people. That's not to say white men can't be saved. It's not to say they can't be among the chosen people. They can. We've established that. The Most High has said he's going to graft in among them faithful Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And brothers and sisters, we up against the wall on that time. Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled, we up against the wall on that time. Okay. But those who are his chosen seed of the bloodline of Abraham, the most important message is for them to know who they are and how they got there. See, I see brothers in these Halloween costumes calling themselves Israelites, yelling at white people and yelling at so-called Jewish people. They ain't your problem. See, that ain't your problem. That's where Malcolm X made his mistakes. Malcolm X is one of my favorite people in history, period. In my lifetime, I have not seen a man that impressed me more than Malcolm X. But if Malcolm X was at the time of Messiah, he would have been called a zealot. And you know what zealots were? Zealots, brothers and sisters, were Israelites that believed in fighting directly against the Romans and standing up to them and in face-to-face combat and attacking them so that Israel would overcome. That's not what Messiah did. What Messiah did, he came among his people and he taught them the Torah. He was trying to teach them from whence they fell and bring them back through himself into favor with the Most High Yah. See, that day when he told them, you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. And they said, we be Abraham's seed, we're never in bondage to any man. They were lying. They were lying to themselves. They were at that very moment under Roman control. At that very moment, Roman soldiers were walking the streets of Jerusalem. They had a Roman procurator that was controlling Israel. And they had the nerve to say, we were never in bondage to any man. They were in bondage at that moment. And that's the problem, brothers and sisters. They didn't even realize their condition. They didn't even realize their condition. And that's where we are right now. We work hard in this country. And we work hard to stay in the same economic place. We work hard. And brothers and sisters, let me tell you, don't get fooled. Don't get fooled. Listen carefully. Israelite men, don't get fooled by the entertainers. You say, what are you talking about, brother? Let me tell you something. Basketball, football, track, baseball, boxing, acting, dancing, singing. The only reason these people are making millions of dollars, your Denzel Washingtons of the world, your LeBron Jameses of the world, your Usain Bolts of the world, and going back in time, your Nat King Coles of the world, your Aretha Franklins, your Sidney Poitiers, your Bill Cosbys, your Jay-Z's. The only reason these people are making that kind of money is because they are entertaining the white rich people. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. Gangster rap started with Sony. It was Jewish people that pushed that gangster rap back in the 80s and 90s. Because why? Because their kids wanted to hear it. And they were affecting how black people saw themselves. So they pushed that stuff. Okay? Let me tell you something. They're being paid to entertain rich white people and rich people. That's it. Because some little white kid wants Michael Jordan's $400 sneakers. That's why Michael Jordan's making a lot of money. Okay? That's why he made it. It's entertainment, brothers and sisters. Entertainment is not real. It's not real. Okay? It's not real. It's all fantasy. So a man can jump high and dunk a ball. So he can run real fast. So he can run and tackle somebody. So he can bash somebody's brains out and look pretty doing it in a boxing ring. Okay, that's entertainment. That's not telling us who we are. And you know what? Black people are so desperate for anybody to look up to. Been so stomped down, they take these entertainers and exalt them and want to be like them. And you know what happened? The devil has used that. And he's created these reality TV shows where black people are looking the fool. Acting and looking the fool, brothers and sisters. And people are looking at that and acting like, oh, that's what y'all like. That's what you're looking like. So the black man is degraded. He's being destroyed. But knowledge of who he is and from whence he's fallen. And that's coming. I mean, brothers and sisters, the prophecy is true. It shall come to pass that when all these things that come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim have driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh Elohim, and shalt obey his voice, thou and thy children with all thy heart, with all thy soul, that then Yahweh will turn thy captivity and have mercy upon thee. It's going to happen. There's an awakening that's already begun. And what happened is some of these cats in these costumes and these so-called camps, all camps are gangs and churches under another name. That's all they are. You see, people are lonely. So they were in these church Christian institutions. And so they're called out of them and they said, well, we need another church. So let's start a camp. You don't need no camp. He called your father Abraham alone out of Ur of the Chaldees. Abraham wasn't looking for no camp. He called him alone. Notice what the scriptures say. Isaiah chapter 50. Oh, we're getting into Ephesians. You say, what this got to do with Ephesians? I got to give you all the warm up first. I got to give you all the backup first. I got to give you all the background. So when we get to it, you see what I'm saying, okay? Now, Isaiah chapter 50. Notice what it says. Isaiah, Yeshaya 50. Notice what, I'm sorry. I said 50. I meant 51. 51 from verse 1 down to verse 5. Look at it carefully, brothers. From 51 from verse 1 down to verse 5. Look at it carefully. And I'm calling on all brothers. I don't care if you yellow or white or brown or dark pitch black. All brothers. But y'all all understand that the Israelites are people of color. Okay, I don't care. You understand that. If you are a true Israelite, you're going to understand that and respect it according to the scriptures. You're going to understand that and respect it. But notice what it said. Isaiah 51 from verse 1 to 5. Hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, ye that seek Yahweh. Look unto the rock whence ye are hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence ye are digged. Look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bare you. For I called him alone, and blessed him, and increased him. For Yahweh shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. He will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like gardens of Yahweh. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. Hearken unto me, my people. Give ear unto me, O my nation, for a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a light of the people. My righteousness is near. My salvation is going forth. Mine arm shall judge the people, and the isles shall wait upon me. And on mine altar shall they trust. No, brothers and sisters, we need to look to the Most High Yah. It's good to fellowship. It's good to fellowship. It's good to be of like-minded brothers and sisters. Don't get me wrong, but don't start calling yourselves camps and start bringing names. And all you're doing is creating institutions and wearing these uniforms. You don't live in 2,000 years ago in no desert. You're in the United States of America, man. We're in our enemy's land. And listen here, all the brothers that are trying to move their families to the country, that's good. That's beautiful. Move your family to the country. Do it. I did it. I did. But let me tell you, I did it so that my children could be raised in a place by me and my wife, by the Most High, and not influenced by the things of this world. But let me tell you something. Don't think you own anything because you buy some land or something. You don't own anything. There's no... You need to understand you're in your enemy's land. You're pilgrims and stay on this earth. You don't own nothing. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you got the title to it. It don't matter. Let me tell you, just because you got the title to it, do you know how many times in history a black man was just wrong because they changed the law just to make sure he got down, just to make sure he was done and put down? You ain't no justice. Are you kidding? It's like I was talking to a brother of mine the other day. He said, I'm an American. I said, what? I couldn't believe he said it. I said, you're an American. I said, take your black behind to the wrong place at the wrong time of night, and you be like Trayvon Martin. That's how much American you are. Huh? You be like Trayvon Martin. Or you walk in the wrong time of the day and run up to the wrong man in blue with his gun drawn, and you'll see how much of American you are. Because if you was an American, you would never need to protest in those streets. If you was an American, you would never need to demand justice for being mistreated and maligned if you was an American. If you were more than 3/5 of a human being that the Constitution said you were, you wouldn't have to fight for no full rights. There'd be no such thing as a civil rights movement. But all these things have come to pass because you're not equal with them. And you never will be. Don't look for that. You say, what you talking about, brother? We have a higher calling. We are called by the Creator and made in His image. See, when we have our game straight with Him, it doesn't matter what the opposition is doing. It doesn't matter. Because when it's time, as Egypt was overthrown, as Babylon was overthrown, so will modern Babylon be overthrown. We don't need to, our fight is not with them. The Bible says, as we're going to study in Ephesians, our fight is not with flesh and blood. It's with principalities, with the rulers of the darkness of this world, with spiritual wickedness in high places. We need to focus on our keeping the commandments of the Most High. We came over here in chains, and they beat us over the head with white Jesus. And they took the very Bible that the Most High, this is how it worked. It came from Israelite prophets. There was no such thing as a Gentile prophet. Israelite prophets, men of color, wrote these words by the power of the Ruach Kadosh, the Holy Ghost. And it came from them through the Apostle Paul up into the Gentiles. They received it when we gave it up because we wanted to serve other gods and wanted to be like the world. So he had us spread out all over the earth, mostly into Africa. And then he took that word, gave it to the Gentile. Then you gave it to a man, end up in the hands of several European men. One of them was a man named William Tyndale, who ended up translating this thing into English, because English would be the prominent language of the last days. I know most people speak Spanish. There's probably more people on the earth that speak Arabic, because many Muslims is on the earth. But you know what? The prominent and dominating language is English, because it is prophesied that this little young country, United States of America, is going to be the front people for Rome, and they're going to cause the earth to do what Rome once done in these last days. So English is the language. And so he put this thing in English. They gave it to some white people. They came over here to this country, killed up the Indians, brought us over here enslaved for free labor, and then beat us over the head with that same word, telling us about white people and Christianity. And we still got people worshiping white Jesus. That's part of the brainwashing. But the awakening has nothing to do. There is no, listen to me carefully. If you ain't heard no other videos, this might be the only one you hear. Ain't no word Christianity in the Bible. Ain't no religion called Christianity in the Bible. Nowhere does it ever say in the scriptures. And I challenge anybody. You can look at some of your other versions. You know, your NIVs. I don't care what's in them. I'm talking about the King James version. You look this up. There is no place in it that says the Christian church. It is not in there. That came from the Roman Catholics. There's no place in there that says Judaism. There's no religion called Judaism. That came from men. European men. No such religion. And nowhere does the Messiah ever state that he came to start a new religion that was different from what Moses gave. He never said that. Matter of fact, he said, think not that I am come to destroy the law. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. And most of these dumb Gentiles take that to mean destroy, but no. Fulfill means he came to live it out, to show you what Moses was talking about in the flesh. He ain't come to create no new religion. And we done brainwashed. So look, neighborhoods flooded with drugs, placed in slavery, strung up and lynched, burned, and put down. I mean, brothers and sisters, listen, I'm a perfect example. I got 3 degrees. I got a degree in finance. I got a degree in mathematics. I got a degree in information systems, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees. I got degrees. I got letters after my name. But you know what? I understand. I'm always going to be subject to some white male or black woman because that's the way they got it in the society. And it used to frustrate me. It doesn't frustrate me anymore because I know who I am and I know what's coming. So I just go and earn my little dollars and take care of my little family as best as I could. You understand? Because I understand how Babylon works. Don't fight Babylon. Okay? Don't fight Babylon. Babylon is not your problem. That's the Most High's problem. He's going to deal with that. Our problem is getting back to keeping the commandments, statutes, and judgments of the Creator that is the Most High, that has chosen us through Abraham and said and promised to bring us back. That's where our focus has got. Now, what about the woman? With the destruction, all the destruction that happened, and the woman has suffered too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the woman hasn't suffered. She has. But let's get back now to Ephesians, because if this thing is going to come off strong and if it comes off right, the women are going to wake up and realize who these men are. Women, especially black women, but all women wake up and realize who these black brothers are, who they really are, and give them the respect and give them the honor and build them up and pray for them and uplift them in prayer, because it's through them, brothers and sisters, that the end is going to come. It's through them. 144,000 are men. When you look it up in Revelation, and it says, and I saw that, and I heard the number of them which were sealed. That's Revelation 7. And it says 144,000, and it says of all the tribes of the children of Israel, right? When you look up the word children, it says it's men. The word is translated men, of all the men of Israel. He's going to bring forth, the Most High is going to completely turn this thing around. He's going to bring back his people. The people that were the most degraded are going to be uplifted. That's why it says, when it says every hill shall be made low and every valley made plain. He's going to bring it back. It's going to all even out. Okay? He's going to bring it back the way he wants it to be. And if a woman would be praying for these men, if a woman would uplift him in prayer, if a woman would support him and not try to act like I don't need you or I'm higher than you. See, that's what the problem is. When you got women out here trying to be pastors and teachers of men, brothers and sisters, they're trying to be the goddess. They're trying to be the goddess. That's what they're doing. They're doing the same thing Eve did, and they're being used, especially black women. They're being used to try to destroy their own men. To try to destroy their own men. Okay, it's crazy, but that's exactly what's happening. And it's not for the man. Listen, I want y'all brothers to hear me carefully. It's not for y'all to be pointing fingers at black women. It's not for y'all to be trying to yell at black women, trying to degrade them. Don't react to their degradation to you by acting like them. We are created to be royal seed of Abraham. Carry yourself like that. Huh? If you're created to be the royal seed of Abraham, carry yourself like that. Don't carry yourself as some animal or some heathen. Carry yourself the way you're supposed to be. The spirit of righteousness from the Most High Yah. His spirit can restore all things. If he can create from nothing, dirt, and then turn that dirt into something in his own image, he can recreate through Messiah, Yahushua. He can recreate us. We may have been dysfunctional. We may have been in jail. We may have been arrested. We may have been degraded. We may have been uneducated. He can change all of that. He can. And he is doing it. It's not just that he can. I'm not just talking by faith, though I am speaking by faith. He is doing it, brothers and sisters. He is doing it. Notice again, Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5. Going to begin at verse 22 and go down to verse 28. Ephesians chapter 5. Now we can go into Ephesians 5. We got the backdrop from verse 22 down to verse 28. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto Yahweh. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Messiah is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Messiah, so let wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Messiah also loved the church and gave himself for, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own body. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. There's a lot in here. So brothers, instead of trying to degrade the woman, have respect for yourself and for the woman. If you can't respect her, just don't deal with her. If you got to respect her, she is the mother of all living. And especially a black woman that has had to shoulder the burden for so many decades because they threw us in jail, because they put us out the home, because they put drugs and alcohol and guns in our neighborhoods to cause us to kill each other. Don't, and she's been having to shoulder that burden. Have respect for that woman. Have respect for her. She's had to go through a lot. She's not made in the image of the Most High. She's made in your image. She's made in your image. You should feel ashamed of yourself for what she's had to deal with. Have respect for that woman. She's the mother of all living. Have respect for her. Praise the Most High. Yeah, have respect for her. Okay? Have respect for her. And woman, you know this man is directly made in the image. He is your head. You know, especially if he's a man of color, what he's been through. You know what he's been through. See? People like to ignore. They like to ignore facts. People like to ignore obvious things. Like I've talked to Caucasian people and they try, you know, I've never done that to anyone in my life. I've never lynched anyone. I've never called you a nigger. I've never done these things. Let me explain to you. If you're in America and you're able to get educated and you're able to live a relatively good life, believe it, you got that opportunity on the backs of some poor people who had to suffer. You got your opportunity given to you from your fathers, and they got it on the backs of free labor. Okay? That's how it was done. Don't ever think that where you at today isn't a result of what happened in times past, because it builds on each other. The wealth, opportunities afforded you have never been afforded equally to the former slaves. And even if they could be afforded equally right now, even if right now you gave the former slaves everything that you ever had and more, and you made up for everything you did, but economically by just giving them land and giving them houses and giving them everything, they wouldn't know what to do with it. They so brainwashed and uneducated, so messed up by so many centuries of degradation. Within a generation, it end up back in your hands anyway. And there are white people that understand this. I heard somebody that said once, if you took all the money in the world and you divided it equally among every person, if you took all the money in the world and you divided all the trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars equally among every person, within a few years, it would all end up back where it was before. It would all end up back where it was before because of ignorance, because of miseducation, because of degradation. It would all end up back where it was before. Because mind control and brainwashing is strong, brothers and sisters. And the only way to break it is through the spirit of the Most High Yah. Yourself unto your own husband. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Do what you're supposed to do. Honor and respect this man. You shouldn't be with him. You shouldn't be with him. You should not be with him if you can't honor and respect him. Okay? And if there's no man that you can honor and respect, maybe you don't need to be with any man. You don't need to be with any if you can't honor and respect. Because Sarah called Abraham Lord. She had honor and respect for that man. And he dragged her out of Ur the Chaldees, a prosperous city, into the desert in tents. Yeah, the people say Abraham was rich. Yeah, they had flocks and herds, but they was in the middle of the desert living in a tent. How would you like that? To leave the comfort of a nice house in a big city and move out to the wilderness with plenty of flocks and herds now, but you in tents. And she honored that. She wasn't complaining. Why you bring us out here? She wasn't complaining. She honored that. Huh? She honored. And men, love your wives. Your head is Messiah. Messiah's head, that's the order. We read it. Father is the head. Yah is the head. Under him, Messiah. Under him, the man. And I mean the Israelite man. Under him, the Israelite woman. Okay? That's the order. That's the order of things. And so as you are toward your woman is the way you want Messiah to be toward you, because that's how it's going to be. You want Messiah to have mercy on you, have mercy on your woman. You want Messiah to be patient with you, be patient with your woman. Because she's a representation of you. She's a representation of you because she came from you. She came from your rib. And if you can't respect the mother of all living, then you can't respect nothing. You can't even respect yourself. If you can't respect the mother of all living, you can't respect yourself. See, brothers and sisters, society is so backwards. As we get closer to the return of Messiah, things become more and more deceitful, more and more perverted. There's a lot of angry men in the earth. Don't you think that if a man has been maligned, he's been mistreated, he's not been given justice? I was like that. I was terribly angry. I had a bad temper. My temper was so bad. I mean, it's been a number of years since that has flared up like that. I mean, because the Most High's grace has worked upon me. But it's been so bad, I still have my daughter reminding me as if it was yesterday, because I had a bad temper, because I was angry and frustrated. I'm going to tell you a true story. Just as an example. This is just a tip of the iceberg, but it's just going to illustrate the point that I'm making. I had went to school and worked and come out of school. I had worked on Wall Street as a clerk, got my experience down there. And you went to school and worked in banks, and people kept getting promoted above me, quicker than me, coming in after me when I was in the bank. And I didn't understand that. So I decided in my ignorance, I said, well, maybe if I change departments and go to a different department, they'll appreciate me and my talents that I bring to the table. So I transferred to another department. And I was promised all kinds of promotion opportunities and such and so forth. And it didn't take long in that department for me to realize something doesn't feel right. I mean, I feel like I'm being like a gopher instead. I have people, both white men and white women younger than me, getting more responsibility than me and being groomed. Obviously, you can tell when people are being groomed for leadership positions and you're not one of them. One day, one of my brothers, brother of mine from Ghana, sent me a clipping of the local paper. And in the paper, there had been a statistical study done, which they found that the average black male, on average, made 30% less than the average white male with the same education and the same experience. That was unbelievable to me. The average black male made 30% less than the average white male with the same education and the same experience. So that means if a white male is making $50,000 a year, that the average black male in the same experience and the same education is going to make $35,000. I couldn't believe what I was reading. But what was going on around me, I couldn't help but believe it. But I needed proof. So what I did, and I don't suggest anybody do this, but I did it because I needed to know. And I'm not saying I did right. I'm just telling you what happened. I came in early on a Sunday morning when nobody was going to be in the office. I had keys to the office. I came in early on a Sunday morning, right after payday. See, why did I do that? Because I knew after payday, see, we all got our pay slips, and most of them left their pay slips in their desk even after you get paid. And I went to all the people, and I realized I was the lowest paid one in that office. There was a boy that was 5, 6 years younger than me, just graduated with a degree and no experience, and they paid him more than they paid me. And brothers and sisters, I was so angry. I was struggling to make ends meet in my house. I was struggling to pay my bills and take care of my family. And I was being severely underpaid. I felt like burning that whole office down. That's what I felt like doing. I felt like burning the whole office down. I was so mad. And I was angry after that for a long time, because after that, I kept getting more and more confirmation of the same thing. Okay, more and more confirmation of the same thing. And I became an angry black male. And that carried over into my home life. It carried over to my wife. I would bark at her, and to my children. And so eventually, as I started seeking the Most High Spirit, because I realized I couldn't continue like that. I knew it was wrong. But, you know, I really didn't understand where all my anger was coming from. I knew I was mad, but believe it or not, I'm looking back on it now, hindsight 2020, I can see where it came from. But I didn't know then. I was just mad. And there's a lot of angry males, especially black males, but white males too, Spanish males too. There's a lot of angry males, but especially black males, because they've been the most maligned. And that's why society, even to this day, I went for a walk. If I go for a walk somewhere and a white woman is walking by me, she's protecting herself like I'm gonna rob her or something. It just happened to me just like day before yesterday. I'm walking. Boy, she was looking straight ahead. She didn't want to look me in the face and say hi or anything. Now, if they with people, if they with a group of people, they look and smile at you because they feel safer. But if you by yourself and you walking, now here I'm 56-year-old, they still thinking I'm gonna rob them or something. Right? But that's how society has trained us. That's how Christianity has trained us. That's how society has pictured us and put us to. And as I started understanding the truth of the word, and I started focusing on Messiah alone and his word alone, his spirit deal with me. And now I don't have that same anger. It flashes once in a while, but I catch it because I know what it is. And I let his spirit, because I know the promises of the word. He's going to turn everything around. It's going to be turned around. My focus is on my connection with the Most High. My focus is to make sure I'm keeping his commandments, statutes, and judgments that I receive of his spirit of righteousness and true holiness, that I am filled with his spirit to such a degree that I'm conformed perfectly to the image of Messiah, so that one day I can say, I do always those things that please him. Praise the Most High and Yahweh Shai, Mashiach. So there's a lot of angry people out here, But brothers and sisters, brothers especially, I'm telling you, go to the Most High. Forget these Christian churches. Forget these denominations. Forget these camps. Go straight to the Most High. Go straight to His Spirit. It's Him and you. See, it's a one-on-one situation. It's Him and you. He just like He dealt with Abraham one-on-one, so He deals with every Israelite man one-on-one. It's you and Him. It's not you and your camp. It's you and Him. You're not repping no camp. You're not repping no colors, like you're not repping no Crips and no Bloods. You understand? It's one-on-one. It's you being transformed. You understanding who you are as a man. So as you love the woman, you're seeking, as Messiah is seeking for you, you're seeking to help that woman develop. How can you help a woman develop? By being like Messiah. In terms of righteousness, holiness, respect, and love. Being like Messiah. Because I want to tell you something. Any woman that's intelligent and of her right mind, because there's a lot of women that have lost their mind. This society has done that. They cause a lot of women lose their mind. They don't even know who they are, what they do. Just trying to get ahead, get money. That's it. But if a woman in her right mind, she'll follow and respect a man that's like Messiah. She will. She will do it. You ain't got the demand of no woman that they respect you. A woman that's in her right mind is going to respect a man that's following Messiah. That's the truth. Okay? That's why you will know if a woman is worthy to be a wife, because she'll have respect for a man that's following Messiah. A man that's seeking righteousness and true holiness. He's not out here trying to be a player. He's not out here trying to get rich at all costs. He's not trying to stack Federal Reserve notes because he knows that's garbage. It's not going nowhere, man. He's seeking the character of Yahweh Shai, a Mashiach. He's seeking perfect righteousness and holiness. He's seeking to provide for his family. He's working with his hands. He's working hard. He's doing what he got to do. Woman going to respect that man. A real woman is going to respect that man. A woman got her right mind, going to respect that man. Okay? And then you can treat her with the respect you're supposed to treat her with. Every day I hug my wife several times a day. Not just once. We get up in the morning, I'll hug her. And then I might just walk in the kitchen and just hug her. Or we might just be following ourselves in the hallway and we just hug each other before we pass by going on our way. That's important because the spirit that's in me, I want to be in her, and vice versa. And we reinforce. That's just hug. And I respect her. And even if I see her getting into something she shouldn't, I pray and I try to be very tactful in how I talk to her. Even when I'm rebuking her. Try to be very respectful and tactful how I talk to her. Because she's the mother of all living. You understand? Because if I'm disrespectful to her, myself, and if I disrespect myself, I'm disrespecting Messiah. And if I disrespect Messiah, I'm disrespecting my Creator and Father. It's the order of things, man. You throw off the order. You throw off everything. That's why the Bible says he might present it. Check it out. Check it out. It says, husbands, love your wives, even as Messiah loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself. Watch this. That he might present it to himself. That is, that Messiah might present his church. That is the nation of Israel. It is not a Christian denomination. It is not a Christian institution. It is not a Judaism. It is not Islam. It is the nation of Israel. That he might present it to himself. A glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. A glorious church. See, this is the thing, brothers and sisters. The Most High is expecting us as his chosen people to be without spot and blemish or any such thing. I want to say that again. He is the expectation that through this gospel that he has given us, through this plan of salvation, that we should be without spot or blemish or any such thing. Holy to Yahweh. He's expecting that. He did not offer all heaven on our behalf to get anything less. And the way it is done is through submission and respect and repentance, coming to the Most High for his righteousness, because the Bible says his righteousness is to be revealed. That's his power of his spirit, righteousness and true holiness. The washing of water in baptism and the blood of Messiah, he's expecting without spot or wrinkle. He's expecting uprightness, strikingly upright. And he should get that because he's poured out everything to make it happen. You will not get it following after churches or camps. You will not get it following after Christian institutions or Islam or Judaism. You will only get it from the Creator through the chosen appointed method of his Son, Messiah, Yahweh Shah, the Hebrew Messiah. The God of the Hebrews is the only true God. I want to say that again. The God of the Hebrew is the only true God. And the order that he set forth is the only true order. You're not going to get it any other way. Now, let's continue. Ephesians chapter 5, from verse 29 down to verse 33. Ephesians chapter 5, from verse 29 down to verse 33. So ought men, for no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the master, the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bone. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Messiah and the church. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. I want to make a couple of points here. Number one, it never says that a husband is supposed to submit himself to his wife. Did you notice that? It never says that the husband is supposed to submit himself to his wife. It says the wife is supposed to submit herself to the husband, but the husband is supposed to respect his wife. Nourish his wife, respect her, love her, but she's supposed to reverence him. Okay, she's supposed to reverence him. Now, Adam needed a helpmeet. The Bible says Yah put him to sleep and opened his flesh up and took a rib out of his flesh. And from his flesh, he made Adam a woman, a helpmeet for him, the mother of all living. He brought forth the woman to him, and this became his wife. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken from the man. Messiah came and gave himself for the nation of Israel. And he poured his spirit on the nation. Part of himself he gave that the nation might be made whole. And the nation is his wife. And he says, they two shall be one flesh. So brothers and sisters, how is that? That's by his spirit. Messiah wants to be one with us through his spirit. He said that if we would keep his word, that the Father and him will become one with us and make their abode with us. Just as in the flesh, we become one with the woman. But even with the woman, that is why we can't be unequally yoked. Even with the woman, you cannot or you are not supposed to become one flesh with any person that is not of the same spirit as you. Wait a minute. Did you hear what I said? You're not supposed to become one flesh with any person that is not of the same spirit as you. So that the spirits must connect before the flesh connects. The spirit that was on Adam, the spirit of life that came, breathed into his nostrils, was the same spirit that was in Eve. And they were in each other before they became flesh. You will have a deep love relationship with your wife or your husband if your spirits become one. First off, many people are so carnal, they don't even know what the spirit is. And that's okay, because the earth is carnal. But all we need to do is go to our Father and ask him, make me spiritual, Father. Get on your knees and pray, even though you don't even know about spirit. Ask him, make me spiritual, Father. I'm carnal, soul under sin, make me spiritual. Put your spirit on me and in me. Cause me to walk in your spirit. I want to be one with you. All it takes is for you to ask him and admit your situation. And he will answer you. He wants his spirit to dwell in you. He desires to inhabit your body with his spirit. But he needs your permission. He needs your permission. Because he's not a rapist. See, a rapist will violate a woman. That means he will force by his brute physical strength or by fear of her getting stabbed up or shot. He will force himself into her. That's the devil. Most High is not like that. You have an agreement with him. You have an agreement that he's going to inhabit you. And you allow it. Just as husband and wife, when they truly in one spirit of love and righteousness and holiness, they have an agreement. This man is going to be the only man on me. And this is my man, and that's my woman, he said. And you become one in the spirit. And then everything is beautiful at that point, because as long as you have each other, you have strength, praise the Most High. And he says it's a great mystery, but he's speaking concerning Messiah and the church, of course. Of course. That's why the Bible says that we should be conformed to the image of Messiah. That's his object, to have us conform to be one like Messiah, to be one. And in doing so, we're one with Father. As we're one with Messiah, we are one with Father. Not that Messiah is Father, don't get it twisted. Father and Messiah, two separate beings. But Messiah is a representation of Father. And as you receive Messiah, Father receives you. As you receive Messiah, receives you. Because that is his son. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. We're going to stop here. I think we've said enough for today on this particular subject.